Hello, 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 everyone. I welcome you to the Pet Parent Academy, and my name is Ikia Safo. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all, wherever you are joining in from. I greet you. So today we are going to look at the impact of screen on children. Yes, that is what we are going to look at today. And if you haven't shared the link to other parents, your family, I want you to do that now. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do that now. Do that now. Okay, so I welcome you once again. And let me ask this. The parents conference is coming very, very soon. I hope you have registered and I hope you have shared the link to other parents to also join us. So if you haven't done that, remember to do that as well. And put in the comment section also where you are joining in from so that we can see where you are joining in from. Okay, so let's move on to today's topic. We are also supposed to have this with um, we are supposed to have this with the other coach, but I think she has some technical, it could be a network challenge. So I would just move ahead with it, and then when she's able to join us, she can pick it up from where we get to. Okay, so let's move on. So today we are looking at the impact of screen on children. Most parents, I understand, okay, most parents, are doing this parenting thing alone, and the only time the only thing they do is that most parents give their phones, they put on the TV for their children to watch. I understand you want to do that because you think that that is how you can have the time to also do what you have to do. Because if you don't give the phone, if you don't put on the TV for the child will not let you concentrate on what you have to do. I get it, I understand. But let's also look at the effects it has on children. Now, I get some questions, from parents that how long do I have to leave my child on the screen? Or how long is it? I mean, if how long, okay, do I have to leave my child on the screen? Good question. Now, before I talk about that, let's take note of this that it's not that the screen is so bad. The screen can be a powerful teacher. The screen can be a powerful teacher. But looking at the effects it has on our children, I mean, it would be better to not have screen at all when they are toddlers. It would be better to do a no screen at all when our children are toddlers. Okay, so for let's look at some of the effects of screen on children. Screen, when you expose your child to the screen, it delays their speech. The children are not able to talk. You could see some time ago I had a chat with one friend. Okay, he contacted me and he was asking, his child was 2, and he was asking, the child is unable to talk and all of that, and he's, I think, okay, the child was unable to talk and he was so worried. So I asked him what he does, like the normal day in their life, how it's like. And it was every day the TV was on in the home every day. The child was on TV every day. So it affected the child because when the child is young, okay, from 18 months, 0 to 18 months, that is when the child should really learn how to interact. So if you are putting this child on the screen, the child is just there watching TV, no interaction with their natural environment. So the child is only left to be on the screen. So the child doesn't learn anything really on the screen. They are just watching. Some people will say their children are learning on the screen. They're learning how to, this cocoa melon stuff and all of that. It doesn't really help the child. They are not learning. When you leave your child on the screen, your child isn't learning. Okay, so I think our guest is here. I would want to add her now. All right, hello. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. So let me do the
Okay.
introduction, okay, so that we can take it from there. So I guess, can you hear me? Please, if you can hear me, let me know in the comment section if I can be heard.
I can hear
Hello.
you. Like my screen is.
Okay, so I can perfectly see you and I can hear you too as well. So we have here one of the coaches of the academy. She's Chinyere Obina, streaming or joining us from Nigeria. Yes. I welcome you, sis. I welcome you. She is the one supposed to take this session. I started because she wasn't here. So I would want to leave it to her now that she's here. So sis, let's move. Let's move. Are we good to go? Hello. Whoa, I can't hear you. Give me a moment. Ooh. You were muted. Sorry. You can go now. You were muted, so I've unmuted you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
The thing just mutes by itself.
Yeah,
You can
okay,
hear me
so
now,
it's
right?
better now. Yes, I can hear you now.
You can hear me now. You can hear me now.
Yes, 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 I can hear you.
All right. Okay, so I don't know how far you've gone, but we are talking about screen time
Yes,
for children, the impact of screen on children, which is a very, very important conversation to have, especially now that, I mean, we are dealing with a lot of screen issues. We are actually parenting. I read something today on Facebook, and which is so profound that we are doing what has not been done before. We are parenting a set of people that have not been parented before. It's a kind of people that have not been parented before. We are parenting in a time that has never existed before, right? And what's that time? That's the time of the screen, internet, social media, this and that, a lot of information. That's the time we're in. So it's important, first of all, as a parent, to understand where you are, the season you are in, the people you're parenting, and the present world. That issue of it was not our parents, it didn't happen to our parents, or our parents did not have to learn, or they didn't have to read. All those conversations is not what you have now, because the world that you are in is not a world, sorry, the world that your children are growing in is not the same world you grew up in, right? So strategies have to change, okay? Everything has to change, and you need to employ new strategies, right, to be able to meet the demands of the present parenthood. So you're asking, how much of screen is too much for your child, and how much impact is screen having on children? A lot, okay, a lot. So many parents are even at a loss on what to do about screen time. A lot of parents are parenting with their screen like it is a distraction for them. Like, okay, let the children, it's kind of babysitting the children. Let it be taking care of the children while I do my own business. That's not how it's supposed to be. Okay, so we don't, the first thing we need to know is that, first of all, screen can be a powerful teacher, right? There are advantages, but we know that everything that has an advantage has a disadvantage, okay? Just like there was a conversation I was having with my children. I can't even remember, but we came to the point where we said that, look, everything, hello, Am I still on? I hope I can still be heard.
Yes, you can be heard. You can be heard.
Okay, I wasn't seeing myself again.
Okay.
Okay, let me continue. So everything is, you know, has its good side and the bad side, depending on the person using it and the purpose. Just like money is amoral, money is not bad, money is not good. In the hand of a good person, money is powerful. In the hand of a bad person, money is dangerous. The same thing with the internet. When somebody, a lot of us look at what we are doing on the internet today. We are using it to impact the world. We are using it to change the narrative. But there are still people using it to defraud other people, using it to watch what they're not supposed to watch. So the same thing with the screen. Screen can actually be a powerful teacher. Okay. So a lot of things can be learned on the screen, right? But then it can be abused, right? And it's being abused in different ways. So it has, as I said, the power to produce both positive and negative results. Okay. The Am I echoing?
No, you are not. You are not. It's clear.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now we're talking of the amount of time spent on the screen for children and what it is doing to children. Okay, so it has a lot of it has an impact on the psychological development of children, a very high impact on the psychological development of children. Where I was working before, there was a particular child that was brought in. That child was born normal. When I mean normal. The parents were so busy, they had to employ a nanny to come and keep company with the child when they're out there working. The nanny they employed wasn't good with English, okay? Her diction was not that superb, okay, like they wanted to have, because this is the person that will mostly be interacting with the child when they are away. So they needed something or somebody that will have good command of English so that the child will grow up having the same thing. They didn't want a child that will grow up not being able to speak well or maybe speaking the accent of the nanny. So what did they do? They had to purchase a tab, an iPad for the baby. This is a baby that was just, a baby, not even yet a toddler, right? Not even yet up to 1 year old. They bought a tab for the child and then put it in the baby's cot and then loaded it with all those children programs, all those singing things that entertain children, and placed it in the child's cot. So that was the interaction that the child was having. The baby, not the child, the baby was having more interaction with the tablet, with the iPad, than she was having with humans, with the human. And at that time, it was just her, it was just the baby and the nanny. There were no siblings, and the human beings available to the child at the time were not there. It was just the parents who were always out, and then the nanny. And the nanny was now replaced with a screen. So all the baby's interaction at that time, and when a baby is born, there is rapid brain development, rapid brain work at that time. That is that from 0 to 2, 0 to 2, 0 to 3 is the most rapid, the highest time of absorption. That's the highest level of brain work. Okay, you wouldn't know. Yeah, the child is not talking, the child is not walking, the baby is not moving, the baby is not talking, but you know that the brain is doing a lot of absorption, a lot of learning. So, but at this stage, what the baby had was a screen, and that was what the baby interacted with until the baby began to grow. So, and they noticed that the child is not talking, the child is having problem with having eye contact with people. Social skills was zero. Couldn't interact with the human beings around her. Couldn't, have conversations. Those things that make for social relationship and social interaction. And it became diagnosed as screen autism. And the baby was brought to the school, like it's a special school for autistic children. Now, this is not a natural autism case. This is a screen-induced autism. And even as we speak now, it is, it's too much. The cases are rolling in, rolling in, rolling in. The cases of screen-induced autism. This one didn't come at birth. This one didn't come, when the child was born. But because of the terrible, exposure to screen, the child became autistic and has to have a lot of interventions. And you know how much the parents have to spend. Of course, you know that autistic children in schools, they don't pay the what other children pay because they have to have a different kind of intervention. So parents must learn how to keep tabs on their children's screen time and set limits to ensure screen time is not too much and passing the wrong values. Well, we don't even want to talk about the things that they are learning on the screen. Okay, so now look at what's happening. So what is really too much? What is really too much? So according to the American Association of Pediatrics, or Pediatric Association, infants 18 months and younger should not have screen time at all. Remember my story. That child wasn't up to 18 months. That child wasn't up to 12 months old, but they already gave the child screen addiction. So, but the recommendation is that an infant 18 months and younger shouldn't have screen time at all. And that includes a TV. Of course, we didn't even talk about what screen time. Yeah, screen time includes everything that is done on the screen. Okay, whether it's TV or laptop or phone or tablet, whatever it is, as long as there is an exposure to the screen, it is screen time. Even as adults, whether you're learning on the screen or you are being entertained or you are being productive or you're being consumptive, whatever it is you're doing on the screen is screen time. Now, children between 2 and 5 years can do with just 1 hour per day of screen. Remember, there is a connection between screen and brain development. Children 6 years and older, it must be determined and monitored by parents. Okay, you must determine it and monitor it by parents. Now, studies show that 18 months and younger are most vulnerable to screens. And that's, do you know that they say between the age of 0 and 5, a child can learn up to 5 languages comfortably. That's to tell you the kind of work that the brain is doing at that tender age. That a child can learn up to 5 languages between 0 and 5. So you can imagine how exposed the brain is to learn a lot. So at that age, they are most vulnerable to the challenges that screen bring, because at that age the brain is wired to learn languages, emotions, and how to handle it. And this requires real life interactions and not technology. What the child needs most at that time is real life interaction. They want to learn the language you speak. It's from you, from interacting with you and interacting with the people in their environment, right? They want to learn about their emotions, the emotions of people around them, and how to handle these emotions. They can't learn those things on the screen. They have to learn it by really having real life interactions with the people around them. In that way, they learn about themselves, about people, and how to interact with them. Okay, now it's not easy to cut off screen time for children, especially if you have started from the time the baby was born. But you see, is one good thing that you must do for your child It's one very good thing that you must do for your child. Yeah, children need real life interactions with people around them. Okay. Now, number of hours spent on the screen is determines how much is too much for your child. But there are other things that determine okay, how much is too much for your child, right? We have interference with daily activities. So ask yourself, does screen time interfere with daily activities? Right? Does it interfere with daily activities? That's what you ask yourself. Homework, they can't do homework because they are on the screen. You know, a lot of children spend so much time on screen and they forget to do their homework. They cannot read or study. I remember a particular girl that sleeps every day in class. And when I dug deep into it, I found out, I was told that she spent upward of she's usually watching up, she's usually up watching TV up till 12 midnight. So when she comes to school, it intercepts or interferes with learning. So you're asking yourself, does screen time interfere with daily activities? Okay, they cannot play with their siblings, right? They don't have time to play outside, outdoors. They don't have time to be with family. A lot of children lock themselves up in their room and they don't have interaction with family members, teenagers. Number two, does it cause conflict at home? Does screen cause conflict at home? You have not done your chores. Why are you on screen? You collect the screen. There's always trouble. You're always on screen. You cannot, collecting the screen is a problem between you and the child. It now determines your relationship with the child and with other people. That's what something you should ask yourself. Is it the only activity that brings joy to the child? Like every other thing doesn't make the child happy except you say screen. Except to give the screen to the child. That's when the child is happy. That's when the child is joyful. That's a problem. In fact, use it as a reward system. So for you to get your child to do what they need to do, there must be a reward to give them. The screen, it's a problem. Does your child sneak to use it? A lot of us are in these shoes. A lot of us are in this group. Does your child sneak to use it? Even though you say there is time for everything, there is time for screen, but your child just sneaks to use it when you're not there. It's not time to watch TV. When you go out, they put on the TV. That's a problem. Then when they know you're coming back, they put it off, right? Is your child frustrated when he cannot use the screen? Oh, that one is so common. That's a problem. They are frustrated because they cannot use the screen, or you collect the screen from them and they are throwing tantrums. Their emotions are all over the place, like they've become addicted to it. Okay, then the last one, is it the only thing that motivates your child? Is that the only thing that motivates your child to study? Is that the only thing that motivates your child to do their chores? Is that the only thing that motivates your child to read? Is that the only thing that motivates your child to do anything that you want them to do that is positive? When you answer these 6 questions, you will now be able to know that even though they're not only talking about time, they're talking about how screen has become too much for the child. If it interferes with daily activities, it's too much. If it causes conflict at home, it's too much. If that's the only activity that brings joy to your child, it's too much. If your child sneaks to use it, it has become too much. If your child gets frustrated when they cannot use the screen, it's too much. And if that's the only thing that motivates your child to do other positive things, then know that it is too much. Okay? Now you can assess yourself. How much is too much for your child? You can now assess yourself. Is my child getting too much screen time? Okay? Is my child getting too much screen time from these things I have said? Okay? Now, why should you even reduce your child's screen time? That's a very important conversation to have. Why should you reduce? Because when you know why, when you know the purpose, when you know the reason, it's easier for you to know how to do it. It's easier for you to actually do it. Because when you don't know why, motivation will die early. Why should you reduce screen time for your children. Okay, especially for non-educational content. I know we've been talking about production, consumption, all right? Production, consumption. So if even in your home, you should look at it. What do we use screen to do mostly at home? Even as an adult, what do I use my screen to do mostly at home? Assess yourself. Is it for production or for consumption? You understand me? And that will translate into your children. What are they using screen to do mostly at home or anywhere? Production or consumption? Are they being productive with the screen or are they being consumptive with the screen? You know that a lot of children are on the consumption, wing. That's where they are. Entertainment, dance, movies, game, cartoons. Okay, so it's more of entertainment for them, and that's even more problematic. Okay, now we also from the opening conversation, Coach Aqua said something, and that's the truth. If you actually go and do your own research, you will discover the same truth. Many tech giants are not tech parents. Do you understand? They are not tech parents. What I mean is that their children are not even exposed to what they are dishing out. Many of them, the owner of Facebook doesn't have his child on Facebook, right? That's the truth. His children are not on Facebook. They are not connected on the internet. Some of them don't even have TV. Is that shocking? But that's the truth. Okay. So now, these are some reasons why you should set limits for your children. Number one, addiction dangers. Addiction. Screen is addictive. You, as an adult, tell me the truth. Is it not addictive? Not to talk of young children, teenagers, whose brain are still under construction. Their brains are not fully developed. The brain of a human being develops fully at the age of 24 or 25. Okay? So but for children, for young adults, for teenagers, their brain is still under construction. Okay, and that means that a lot of things is still being constructed. The connection that's supposed to be made from the back to the front has not yet been done complete, and that connection is very important for learning, for development, and for a lot of things. Okay, so but if addiction comes in, and it doesn't matter what kind of addiction it is, it's the same. We like to say spirit. It's the same thing that leads to addiction, whether it's addiction to cocaine, addiction to heroin, addiction to food, addiction to movies, addiction to screen. They are all being controlled by the same part of the brain, and they are all being controlled by the same dopamine. It's all of them are still dopamine controlled. Okay, so you want to prevent addiction. Addiction to screen is a big problem. Number two, it also affects educational development. It also affects educational development. I've said that before. Number three, effects on weight. Okay, there are a lot of families. I remember, the only thing is that this particular family, my relation, the children were they were in boarding house, so it didn't really affect them. But you see a situation where a child is in front of the television watching, or in front of or playing game with the laptop or with the phone, right? And it's lunch time, and they ask for their lunch, right? And right there, I'm just saying, as I'm saying it, I'm remembering the picture of my own, cousins. Right there, seated, they beg another person, please bring my food for me, bring my food for me. They bring their food for them, right? And they are sitting down there watching. After eating, they keep their plates there. And then they continue watching until it's dinner time. Bring my food for me. And they are watching and they eat and they remain there. What do you think will happen? Overweight. Now that's just one area. The other area is that when when even you as an adult, if you sit down for a very long time, you add weight. All through the day, or most of the times in the day, you are sitting down, working on your system, working on having, doing work, seated in one place. That's why they say people with sedentary lifestyle are most prone to heart diseases and they are most prone to obesity. So problems, effects on weight is one reason why you should wean your children from the screen. The next one is aggression. Is aggression. Aggression. A lot of children are aggressive because of the screen, because their brains are overstimulated. Overstimulated. So if you even collect the screen from them, the kind of tantrum they will throw, you'll be shocked. Behavioral problems is causing. So you see people, there's something they call the tech neck. The tech neck. So their neck is now always almost like this. You see teenagers, you don't really see people, teenagers walking this way, with their shoulders squared and their head held up high. What you see now is people just walking like this. Why? Because this is what they are now doing. Either they are walking on this laptop and they're always like this, or they're holding their phone and they're pressing it this way. So we call it the tech neck. So it's a behavioral problem, right? So even when they want to talk to you, they cannot even raise their head to say, hello, good afternoon, how are you doing? Their neck is down and they just mutter something, say, and they've greeted you. That's tech neck. That's a behavioral problem, right? So, and many other behavioral problems, damages to their heart. I've talked about that. Of course, if you're not very active, the heart is being affected. And of course, sleep disruption. I told you about the girl whose sleep is constantly disrupted because she has to be on the screen up until midnight. All right. And when the sleep is disrupted, at the age, babies need upwards of 15 hours of sleep per day. When they enter primary school, they need up to 11 or 10 hours of sleep. Teenagers need a lot of sleep for their brain to function, because at that time, puberty is having is hitting their brain so hard. So their brain needs to rest. Unfortunately, we're having teenagers who don't have sleep. There's a lot that goes on when a teenager sleeps to the brain. I mean, a lot. I mean, a lot of learning, a lot of establishment of learning. All right. When you learn something, gets into the short term memory. When you sleep and you have a good night's sleep, it is moved to the long term memory where it is permanently stored. But you see, a lot of people are not getting enough sleep, and so their memory loss is getting high. They can't even remember things. Academic performance is getting lower and lower by the day. I keep talking about that. When it comes to academic performance, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. And you see, I don't know about Ghana, but here in Nigeria, they feel, you see them thinking that, okay, if they spend a lot more time in school, they will do better. So when we were in school, you see that school dismisses by 2 p.m., right? Secondary school dismisses by 2 p.m., right? But today, you hardly find a secondary school that dismisses by 2. They stay in school up till 4, 5. Okay? They think that this is the things that they need to do for the children to do better. Nursery schools, primary schools, 5 p.m. Children are still at school, right? And then these children come back home and their parents give them screen to use and calm them down, or to use and keep them from distracting them from their own work and enjoyment. But from what I've noticed, for the past several years, academic performance has gone down, down, down. It looked as if that we performed better, even though we dismissed by 2 p.m. But we didn't have screen. We had a lot of playtime outside, but we did better. So every year, the statistics come out and we see that it's fell. It has dropped. Whether it's WAEC, yes, Ghana writes WAEC, right? So WAEC, or is it our normal JAM, the one that takes you to the university? We are seeing the drop. It's dropping. And nobody is stressing it rightly. Somebody is saying, oh, they need to spend more time in school. And that's for the sake of the same parents. Because the parents want the children to spend more time outside than with them. Parents are working till 5 p.m., working till 7 p.m. So the children have to stay there so they can work and make all the money they want to make. It's not really for the good of the child that they are spending all that more than 12 hours in school. It's still for the good of the parent. Nobody's tracing these things, overworked brain that is not having enough sleep, brain that is overstimulated by the screen. Nobody's tracing these our falling academic performance to these things. Instead, they just concentrate on mundane things. Okay, so these are the few reasons why you should reduce screen time for your children. It's now called the digital cocaine, right? Because I said it before, it's the same dopamine that is controlling the person that is addicted to cocaine. It's the same working in any form of addiction you can think of in the world, right? So just as there is cocaine addiction, you'll be rejoicing. My children are not addicted to cocaine, but are they addicted to the screen? It's the same thing. It's the same problem that they are facing. And a lot of people have to go. Unfortunately, a lot of children today will have to be going into rehabs, not because they want to be rehabilitated from alcohol or from cocaine or from hard drugs, but they want to be rehabilitated from screen. They have to go through rehab homes, they have to go through therapy. That's too bad, and we don't want that for our children. Okay, we don't want that for our children. Okay, so there is a particular finding on how screen can damage the insula, which is the part of the brain involved in our capacity to develop empathy and compassion for others, and ability to integrate physical signals with emotion. These are skills required to build interpersonal relationships. Screen addiction has obvious link to violent behavior. So if that part of the brain is being affected adversely by the screen, so we are expected to see depression, we are expected to see aggression, we are expected to see violent behavior, we are expected to see lack of empathy. I mean, look around you, lack of empathy, very poor social skills among children. Isn't that what we are seeing today? It is very obvious. Okay. Now, when it comes to educational development, the screen causes a decreased attention span for the child. Number two, it also causes underdeveloped and delayed language abilities. I already told you that. It causes decreased critical thinking skills because the screen is actually doing the thinking for them. And it causes decreased intrinsic motivation for learning. Remember, one of the problems, one of the ways to find out if it's too much, if you have to use screen to motivate your child to learn, the screen is already too much for the child. So it does, a child who is addicted to screen will have a decreased intrinsic motivation for learning. They will not be intrinsically motivated. They have to depend on being extrinsically motivated, of course, through the promise of reward of screen. Okay? Now, the skills that children need to survive in the world are face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication. I told you about the autistic child that was whose autism was induced by screen. Okay, face to face, we are dealing with human beings, right? Our human connections are the most important thing we need. That's why God created us. Relationships, okay, face to face relationships. But screen is robbing us of that. Hands-on exploration of the world is not coming to watch them, make create. Your child is watching them create something, okay? Create maybe, I don't know, all those things they watch online. Your child needs to be hands-on, okay? Hands-on. That is what they need to survive, to thrive on earth. Excuse me. Opportunities for silence, meditation, self-reflection. Our children are overstimulated. The noise is too much. Some homes, the TV is blaring from morning. As long as there is light, over here where they take light, as long as there is light, the TV is on. And I don't even seem to understand it. Like, I don't understand how people survive in such a place. Okay, so there's no time for silence. There's no time for self-reflection. There's no time to be bored. There's no time to be bored. Boredom is a gift. There's no time to dream. or you're watching the results of other people's dreams. You don't have time to dream. Your children don't have time to sit back and visualize and dream about their future because they're always watching, they're always seeing. Okay, so let your children strive, minimize, mitigate, and model healthy use of screens. So let's come now to the end of this conversation. What can you do as a parent? Because at the end of the day, we've talked about the problems, we talked about the issues, a solution. We need to have a way out. How do we help our children? How do we help our children? How do we help our children? I hope I'm still being heard. How can we help our children through this screen addiction of a thing? Yeah, I hope I can still be heard.
Yes, 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 yes.
All
Loud
right,
and clear.
so awesome. So that's how we come to the end of this conversation. Because if we don't get solutions, then we've just wasted our 1 hour. Number one, modeling. That's number one. That's the top. Okay. That's number, even if other ones will not come accordingly. But you see, this one, modeling is number one. Modeling is number one. Okay. So, how do you use screen? I've talked about productivity and I've talked about consumption. You, as a parent, what does your screen do for you? What do you use screen to do? Scroll from Instagram to Facebook to Twitter, just consuming content. Then from there, you move to Netflix, watching movies. From there, you move to Facebook, back to WhatsApp. All your children see you do is consume, 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 consume. Your children will eventually grow up to be consumers of screen and not producers. Okay? And not producers. All right? So encourage creative activities also by participating with them. You don't tell them, you don't give them the puzzles or the Legos or the paintings, and then you go over to your screen and you're just scrolling mindlessly on the phone. That won't cut it because they want to do what you're doing. So if you're involved in creative activities, hands-on activities, they will join you. Okay, they will join you. Number two, create a plan. Create a family tech plan that will be followed through by every member of the family, both the adults and the children. Create a family, what's in your family tech plan? A few things in your family tech plan include screen-free times, screen-free places, other activities that should be done, and so on and so forth. For example, in your family tech plan, you can say screen-free places, example, toilet. So nobody takes a screen into the bathroom. I'm sure you know that teenagers are fond of that, but they learned it from somewhere. They learned it from a parent. They learned it from an adult. Okay, so there's a screen-free place at home can be the toilet. It's very important. The bathroom, very very important, and the reasons are very very obvious. Okay, so if you say that, it also applies to you as the parent, and it doesn't matter what you want to do. For example, my excuse is that I want to be listening to music as I'm bathing. My excuse can be I want to be reading or listening or watching a course, partaking of a course as I am pooing, right? These are legitimate excuses. But you see, even though they are legitimate excuses, for children, there's nothing like excuse. Oh, mommy is watching a course, is taking a course, or mommy is listening to Christian music. There's no excuse. For the rule is flat. You don't take it to the toilet, no matter what you want to use it for. It cuts across everyone. No use of screen on the dining table. Everybody is involved. You don't say no use of screen. And it doesn't matter if your children are not using phone. You have to start doing it as an adult so that when they get their phones, when they get to the age of using a phone, they just fall in line. Yes, they just fall in line, right? So once you have put it as a family tech rule, no use of phone on the dining table or during family time, okay? The TVs must be off, everybody's phone must be put away. right? Then it must start from you as the parent so they can learn from it. That's screen free times. Homework time is screen free time. I see young people, they are doing homework or they are reading and they are with phone. I'll tell the person, I'll ask the young person, the teenager, uh, choose ye this day whom you will serve. Are you pressing phone or are you reading? And I'll tell them, two of them, you cannot do two of them. I'll tell the person, you cannot, it's impossible. It's impossible. Your brain at this stage, I said it before that their brain is under construction. At this stage, the brain cannot multitask. Just scratch that. Your brain cannot multitask. Now choose what you want to do. And the truth is that when you're having the phone and the book, the truth is that your brain will gravitate towards the screen because that is what gives it more pleasure. You understand? So homework time are screen-free times. All right. Then certain days of the week are screen-free times. Listen, your children cannot be in session and be using the screen. Their school cannot be on session and be using the screen. Why again? I talked about the long-term memory. Now your child has gone to school and has learned. It's in their short-term memory. And they get back home and then they need to just eat, rest, sleep. Why? So that it will move to their long-term memory. And then they come back home and they are back to the screen. First, some children watch cartoon until they sleep off. All right? Some parents give their children cartoon, the tab to watch until they do what? They don't sleep off. Imagine that. Imagine that. So what would the brain be working on? What would the brain be working on? The brain would actually be working on the cartoon they watched. So a lot of children wake up and they are so scared. They are dreaming of all the cartoons that they watched before they slept. And when that happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when will the brain have the time to work on what they are learning in school? The brain will always be working on the cartoons that they are watching. And that would lead to a poor academic performance. Whether they are watching Netflix or they are playing game, that's what the brain will be constantly thinking of. And that's what the long-term memory will be working on. So at least Monday to Friday, then you say, okay, screen time on Saturday, and then screen time partially on Sunday. Once it's Sunday afternoon or evening, no more. Why? Because the brain has to get set for the school week. So I'm talking about what? Tech. I'm talking about family tech plan. And these things must be written in black and white. Everybody sees it. Everybody follows through. Okay? Everybody follows through. You can include things like you don't use a screen until you have played outside. A lot of us don't even let our children play outside. And it's so really stupid and funny, right? Because all of us grew up playing outside. But suddenly, outside has become too dangerous for our children. In fact, here in Nigeria, a lot of schools don't let their children go out for break. There's no break time. They don't know that they're actually, oh my God, the ignorance is smelling. The ignorance is smelling. The ignorance is smelling. The brain needs, children's brain need, they need to move, especially boys. They need to be moving. So they should even have more than two break times. Nursery. These ones that are restless, these ones that their brains are still developing, they should have more than two break times, more than three break times. They learn for 15 minutes, they walk around, they go outside. Outdoor learning should be part of it. Okay, do you understand? Then break time when they run around. Are you seeing the number of eye problem cases we're having for children? When we were growing up, we didn't have a lot of children wearing eyeglasses. But today, even 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds are now wearing eyeglasses because they're always inside the house. Parents are locking them inside the house. And inside the house, they are locking them with screen. They're inside the house, locked up, and then exposed to screen. Meanwhile, a child needs to go outside and run, and run. There's I can't remember how many meters that the eye needs to see for a child every day, and it only happens can only be achieved outdoor. It cannot be achieved indoors. But instead, people have their children at home. Don't go outside, don't mix up, don't play, don't wound yourself, don't interact with the bad children, all those blah, 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 blah. You don't know you're doing yourself more harm than good. So, have you played outside before you use the screen? Have you done your homework? Have you had family time? Have you played with your friends? Those things are a must. Okay, I've talked about encourage outdoor play. Do you understand? When children have outdoor play times, they will remember the screen. The truth is that we are the ones that actually, you see, in this parenting thing, it's what you give your child that they will know. So they know screen because that's what you gave them. You didn't give them the gift of outdoor play, right? So my toddler asks for outdoor play like a right. Yes, three, he knows that one it's compulsory. He will go out and play with him packing the sand. I enjoy watching, you see him interacting with his mates. You see, he knows the names, even though he's not talking well, but he knows the names of the people that he plays with. He knows their homes. He knows how to call them. You see them, you see social skills at the top tier. You see him sharing. You understand? You see them sharing. You see them playing ball. Play. You say play. This one say play. You see them sharing. You see them playing amicably, peacefully. Yes, there are times when you hear cry. Okay, what happened? There's a misunderstanding. But they are learning how to solve, how to play, how to cooperate at 3, 2. You see, he's at his age grade. They are 3, they are 2, 4. They know themselves when they gather. They pack sand. They build houses with sand. They play ball. They do all manner of things. They cook. See, my baby has tools. He will cook it. He will go to the other one that is. Even if they will cook, and you ask, them, I'm kinking. All these things are not learned on the screen. They are not learned on the screen. It is he knows that outdoor play is a must. He demands for it. You understand? And for me, it's a must. You understand? I do it intentionally because I know that even in their school, they don't have time for outdoor play because parents complain that their clothes will get dirty. Parents complain that they will injure themselves. And these schools that don't have much understanding will listen to such parents, not knowing that they are doing more harm than good. So, me as a deliberate person, when my children come back, I send them out to go and run outdoor. It's deliberate. But you can't have children do all that in school. They come back home and they are still on the screen. That's destructive. Help them build survival skills, right? Then um, um, encourage them to socialize with other children. You can build a social system for them. I've told you mine. One of our social roadmap is go and play. Even if you are 3 years old, you go and play with your fellow 3-year-olds. That's a social roadmap. That's social skills, right? You can actually temper that by yourself, create times when they go to socialize, take them out to a park where they socialize with other children. Come up with creative ways to teach your kids without screen. Reading. Even this same toddler of mine will be distracted with book than with a screen. In fact, you can make him to stop crying with books than with a screen. And he can stay with it. He didn't start that way, but now he's 3. We started early. But now that he's 3 years old, you can keep him listening to you read aloud to him with picture books for 30 minutes. For toddlers whose attention span is 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can keep my toddler, and he's a boy for that matter, for 30 minutes listening to you read aloud to him. In fact, he can bring up to 5 books. This one has finished, he'll bring another one. This one has finished. These are things that will make them forget about screen. Do you understand? Don't be a hypocrite, right? If you want to reduce their screen time, you should lead by example, right? I said it before, lead by example. Reduce your own screen time. Reduce your own screen time. If possible, but once they come back from school, keep the phone till they go to bed. So they won't even see you using the screen anymore. All right? Don't be a hypocrite. Replace. We always talk about replacing. Don't just take away the screen. Remember the rule of remove and replace. So if you say no more screen, okay, what next? If you say no more screen time, okay, what should we do? We do with our time? Because indeed, these children have a lot of time in their hands. All right. So I've talked about books. Books are good replacement, beautiful replacement. Puzzles, Legos, Even if you cannot buy them, all right, you can actually bring cartons. That's what we do. My son works with a lot of cartons. You have cartons, you have painting, you have coloring, you have word search puzzles, you have artwork, a lot of things. Then outdoor play, of course, is very, very important. By the time you have filled the child's day with all these activities, where would they have time to look for screen? So remember, don't remove until you have what to replace it with. So you don't have more chaos in your home. But listen to me, the truth is that once there are good replacements, they will remember screen again. Just try it. Try it this week. Try it this week. Go and purchase activities, crayons, colors, what search books, Legos, puzzles, name them, indoor play tools, Scrabble, board games. Purchase them and pack them and bring them out one after the other. Let's see. And come and tell me if your child will still be addicted to screen. So thank you so much once again. I didn't even thank Coach Aqua before I started this. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share once again on your platform. I hope you have been blessed.
Yes, 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 yes. We have been blessed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate it. It's been an insightful session. And I believe parents have really learned a lot from this session. The screen is not really doing us any good. It's really, really, really causing harm. And we need to know there is power in knowing. If you don't know something, you don't know what to do. But if you know too and you don't implement what you know, it's better than even not knowing at all. So, once you have known, you know this, you have attended this class, you've watched either whether you've watched a replay or you are catching live, you have learned something. And the way you get the results is by implementation. When you're able to implement, you see the results. So I hope this session has been very helpful. And I want to give one tip, okay? One tip. And before you remove the screen, make sure you have something to replace. As coach said, remember you already have something that you're going to replace with the screen. So you can to begin with. And sometimes most parents think that I don't have money. What am I going to if I don't put my child on the screen? I don't have money to buy books. I don't have money to buy other educational materials for the child. See,
Exactly.
create something in your home. There are so many things that after using, you can use that thing to create something for the child to play
Exactly.
with. So you can create a reading corner or a play corner somewhere in your room and get the children, have some cups, some cups, some plates for spoons that you don't use, get some sand, let the child play with those things. And when you are starting, okay, you need to also get involved, like be with the child, play with the child at the beginning, play with them together. You are doing everything together. Then gradually you'll be, excusing yourself gradually. You are when you do that, you are encouraging independent play. The child wouldn't really worry you when you are doing something because they have something to play with. They can just go to their playing corner and then go there and play all by themselves. And you have
Yeah,
the time to do what you want to do. So, dear
build their
parents, the
creativity.
screen shouldn't be the only option. The problem is that most people think that the screen is the only thing. Without screen, what will my child do? What will I do? What will I do? Someone will tell you hey, sometimes something happened actually, and I was discussing with this parent, and she told me that no, my child is not like that. So I don't expose my child to screen to other things. They are always in their room from morning to evening. They are watching cartoons, and I was like, really? Your child is in their room from morning to evening watching cartoons. And do you even know the content? The content, what they are watching, do you know what's in there? You don't know. Your children may pick up certain things from these things, and you think, my child is always on the screen. They don't even go and play outside with other kids. How are they going to learn bad behaviors? You don't know what they are watching. And the effect, I believe we've learned a lot. So let's try, get some cards that, some boxes that you don't use anymore. Create something with it
Mm-hmm.
with the children. There are so
A
many
lot, a lot
videos,
of
creative
things, a
activities.
lot of things.
Yes, yes, do coloring, painting. I mean, a lot of things.
Show
And
and
if
tell.
you don't, yeah, if you don't have, you need to have a media plan actually. So if you don't know how to create a media plan, we have a media plan, a media plan guide that can help you create, a plan for your family. And you can get it at a very low cost. So you can send us a message and we will send all the payment details to you. You can make payments, get it, and then you can also start creating your family media plan. And if you need, we also have several children books resources. You can contact us, and we have a WhatsApp group that parents are there getting these kind of things, puzzles, Legos, so many activities. There are so getting to Christmas, and I know some parents are really wondering, what am I going to do? My children are going to be
How
home. How am I going to these children to, not worry me? How am I going to have the peace of mind? Some people are thinking of sending their kids to their family, their parents, to take care of them. But see, the things that are going on, you don't want to leave your children to people, especially people that you don't really trust.
not
You don't
sure.
really know
Yeah.
how, you're not sure what they are even, how they are treating the kids. So it's important to keep them, and then you learn how you are going to engage your children. Please reach out. There are resources you can get to help these kids, and you will make this holiday so fun. It can be one of the best holidays if you know what to do. So I hope this I know this class has been really helpful to everyone. We've all learned some one or two things that, and I know, please let us implement. Implementation is key. Implementation is key. All right. Thank you so much, Chinyere Obina, for accepting to
Thank
do
you
this with
very
us. We
much.
are really very grateful. We honor you. We don't take your time for granted. And I know we are going to have more sessions too as well. So if you haven't registered for the parents conference, I don't want to I know, the things that we are going to learn during that conference. And if you haven't registered, try, we have the link right under this session here. You can search for the link under this live. You can register. Just click on the link to register. The link is in the various groups. So if you are in any of our groups, you can just click on the link. You find it there. We are going to also share it after this class so that you can register and share to your family and friends too, so that they can also register and learn. It's going to be life changing. It's going to really, help you with how you have to raise your children. It's important that you learn as a parent, as we always say. All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, and see you next week for another interesting session. All right, enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.